Hey everybody, it's Tyler and welcome to week 4 of the Reason Beginner's Guide. Last week we made a little beat here, and this week we're going to start making the instrument parts of our song. So I got a couple cool sounds picked out for us today. I have this piano from the Spectrasonics Keyscape library. Let's take a listen. Pretty nice sounding piano. And for the bass we have a Contact library called Scarby Rickenbacker bass. Sounds pretty nice. Pretty bitey. And for our synth, we're going to be using Serum. Now, I don't have anything in Serum right now. It's actually just a regular sawtooth wave. Pretty disgusting sounding, but we're going to make that sound better. But first and foremost, let's record our piano track. So I came up with this cool chord progression. Just real simple. And I'm going to record it among our 8 bars here. So before we go to record, let's make sure the playhead is in place. And we make sure we have pre enabled. So it gives us a little countdown. Give me time to get my hands on the piano keys. And when I'm ready, I hit record. So here we go. Awesome. So this is kind of like an electronic groove we have here. Everything's locked in with the kick. Everything's very rigid. It's not a real band. So I think I'm going to want the piano to be super locked in with that. So I'm going to right click and go to quantize. And what that does, it just kind of snaps everything to the grid. Everything, as you can see, is snapped to the grid. Now with quantize, you always want to listen back and make sure the computer didn't mess anything up when quantizing it. So let's check back and listen. Now you probably can see from the thing here, there's a couple little weird artifacts going on, like this little note here I probably hit by accident, so we're just going to get rid of that. This must have been an accidental note because it's got a velocity of velocity of 1, so get rid of that. And this guy also has got a velocity of 1, probably accidental note. Alright, so now that that's all cleaned up, we have our piano track recorded. So let's record our bass. Get a nice little funky groove going here. Cool. Let's quantize that. Listen back. Awesome. Alright, so we got a piano, we got a bass. Let's add a synthesizer. So let's head on over here. Now, if you notice with my plugins I have here, these are VST instruments, or instruments that are not originally found in Reason, made by third parties using VST files. These are the original Reason things, so they have their interface like in the DAW right here. But if I click here, it actually opens it up in a separate window. I'm actually going to go back over here. Now, this is a synthesizer. Most synthesizers have something that sets them apart from each other, but they all generally operate the same way. You have an oscillator, like right here, oscillator A, oscillator B. Sometimes they have more than one oscillator. This one only has 2. And what it does is it sends this waveform, and if I play it, that's what it sounds like. The oscillator sends it to the filter. It goes through this filter. Let's turn this filter on. Notice this filter is cutting off the high end, and if I turn the cutoff up, it's just affecting the high end. So let's turn this filter off for a second. This is the envelope of the synthesizer. Every single synthesizer has an envelope, usually more than one. This one has 3. Now, you might see on another synthesizer the amp envelope, and that's the envelope that controls the amplitude of the signal. And in Serum here, the envelope 1 controls the amplitude. So in an envelope, we have 4 main parameters. We have attack, decay, sustain, and release. Now, for attack, if you listen for attack, this is like how long it takes for the note to engage. So if we have a really short attack, let's say 0, it just comes in immediately. Pressing the note comes in right immediately. If I have a longer attack, you hear it, it's like sweeping up. If I make it even longer, yeah, so you get the idea. So let's take that back to, I think it was around like 10 or something. Maybe less than that. So let's skip decay and let's head to sustain here. And sustain, if you listen to it, you can actually see this line traveling. Watch this line that travels down when I press the note. Basically, this endpoint right here is the sustain. And that determines that after I hold the note, that's how low the note and amplitude will sustain at. So if I lower that all the way, it stops. There's no note. If I have it up all the way, nothing changes. So let's say we put it down a little bit. And let's look at the decay now. Now, the decay determines how long it takes for that little dot to get over here. So if I have a real short decay, it just goes right there. If I have a real long decay, you get the idea. Now, release. Release is pretty interesting. So normally in like lead synthesizers, you have that set pretty low. Because when I want to release, if you hear the release, when I let go, it stops immediately. It's at 15 milliseconds, real short release. Now, if I make that longer, I'm just tapping it like a real staccato note. And it takes a long time to let go. So envelopes, super important. Now, let's go and initialize the preset again. So we're back to the beginning here. And let's just make the sound. So first we have this sawtooth wave here. And I like this tone of this sawtooth wave, so I think I'm going to keep this in oscillator A. Now I'm going to increase the unison, which will kind of clone the note. It'll be played several times, like here, 7 iterations of the note. Now that's like a real electronic sound. I'm not sure I want that for this song, so I'm going to bring the detune down. That's cool. Maybe we'll adjust this later, maybe. I also want to make this a mono synthesizer because I want it to just be a lead synth with one note at a time. Cool. Let's add a sub. Let's bring the octave down 1. We have a sine wave. That's pretty cool. So let's put in a filter and cut off a little bit of this high end. So maybe here. That sounds all right. Okay. So now I'm going to add an envelope here. A second envelope. I like this envelope here. This is fine. For the second envelope, I'm going to like maybe make it something like this. And I'm going to drag this envelope to the cutoff knob over here. And what that does is now I'm controlling this knob with the envelope. Every time I press the note, you'll actually see a little thing over here. You can actually see the filter move every time I hit the note. Gives it like a pew, pew, pew. Maybe I can turn this down a little bit. And bring this guy up. Maybe add a little bit of resonance. Awesome. Now we can go to the effects tab. Not all synthesizers have effects. I'm actually going to talk about effects later. But just for now, I kind of want to add a couple little things to glue this all together. A reverb, compressor, delay. Maybe a little less of this. Now we got an awesome sound. So, let's record our synth lead. Okay, let's take a look at it after we quantize. And I did a lot of little grace notes, and quantize doesn't like those, so we're gonna have to fix those for sure. So let's take a look. Yeah, right there. Let's move that over. And we'll take the position like this, nudge it a little bit. Yep. Quantize really doesn't like those grace notes. So I'm just going to go here and fix all the little things that Quantize messed up. We'll do a little speed up. All right, now we have a song. So let's take one last listen. Maybe let's go in the mixer. Bring down piano a little bit. Maybe a little less synth. Awesome. So we have our drum beat. We have our instrument backing, and it's kind of like a pop song, so I think we're going to need a vocal track. So next week, we're going to record some vocals. If you want to see that, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. If you have any questions, leave a comment. As always, it's been a pleasure. This is Tyler, signing out.